Сейчас мы представим Кристин Райхгардт, представитель нормативного комитета по терминологии Немецкого института по стандартизации ДИН, который, собственно, и будет заниматься разработкой этого самого стандарта. Спасибо еще раз большое, Кристин.
Yes. Hi, can you hear me all right? Okay, so we just heard from Andreas Baumert that there is a new ISO project on plain language, which has been, is being developed right now. So I want to give you some more information on standardization work in general and how this new project on plain language fits into ISO. But first, some short information on myself. My name is Christine, and I work as a project manager for the German Institute for Standardization. And I'm also the committee manager of ISO TC 37 SC5. The numbers don't have to tell you anything. This is the committee in ISO that develops the standards on translating and interpreting. And most of you probably know or have heard of ISO. ISO is a non-governmental international organization, and it brings together all experts from all over the world. And these experts work together within the ISO environment to develop standards on a variety of different topics. So currently there are 165 different countries that are represented within ISO. And the principle is that there is only one member per country. And this is usually the national standardization organization of that country. So for example, for Germany, it is DIN, for France, it is AFNOR, for the UK, it is BSI, and so on. So for each country, you have a member that represents this country in ISO. And the ISO standards are developed within technical committees and subcommittees, and there are currently 792 of these committees. And in a total, we currently have 23,428 international standards on this huge variety of subjects. And yes, so as mentioned before, the principle of ISO work is that there is only one member per country. And this means that individual people and companies cannot become ISO members themselves. However, these individuals and companies can participate in the international standardization through their national standard bodies. So as I just said, for Germany, this is the German Institute for Standardization, or short DIN. And DIN is a private organization, and it serves as a neutral platform to bring together all the experts from all over Germany, but also from other countries, to work together on standardization. And currently we have around 35,500 experts from many different sectors that take part in standardization. And we have a total number of 69 committees, so not as many as ISO, but still quite a lot, where the standards are being developed. And the total number of existing German standards is currently 34,359. This includes purely national standards, as well as international and European standards, which have been adopted on a national level. So the way in which we participate in international standardization is that we have national mirror committees that mirror the work on ISO level. So for each ISO committee, we have a national mirror committee where the work is being is taking place. And so these mirror committees send German delegates and participants to the ISO technical committees and German experts to participate in the ISO working groups. So yes, ISO differentiates between technical level where decisions are being made and working groups where actually the work takes place. And if we have a look at where the project on plain language is being developed, we have here an overview of ISO Technical Committee 37. This is the committee which deals with all matters regarding language and terminology. And so below the technical committee, we have the different subcommittees. For example, subcommittee 1, which deals with principles and methods of terminology, or subcommittee 4 who deals with language research management. And then these subcommittees all have different working group below them, which I have not fully listed because it's just there are too many. And this is where the actual standardization work takes place. And then if you look at the very right, there are 2 working groups that are located directly under the technical committee, because these working groups are fairly new, so they have only been opened up last year, and they did not really fit under any of these existing subcommittees. And one of these working groups is ICTC 37 Working Group 11, called Plain Language. This is the very one on the right, circulated in red. And this is where the new standards projects on the principles and guidelines on plain language is currently being developed by experts from all over the world. And on a national level, we have a similar structure of our Dean Standards Committee terminology. Again, it's not as big as the ISO committee, but these subcommittees and working groups that you can see there mirror exactly the subjects and the standardization projects that take place at an international level. And again, on the very right and circulated in red, we have now just created a new working group who deals with exactly this topic of plain language, and which is supposed to mirror the project on ISO level, and which will also develop national standards on this topic of plain language. And Andreas Baumert, who we have just heard just now, is the working group convener, and the first meeting will take place at the beginning of November. So this was only a very, very brief introduction into standardization work, which is a lot more complicated. So if you're interested in further information, I have given you some links where you can look up the project in plain language and also the other projects that are being developed in ICTC 37 language and terminology. And of course, I'm also available for questions either now or at some point after our meeting today. Thank you very much.